Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about Season 2 of Gen V. We've also got some news stories and a few trailers to go over in our news segment On Beat. And we've got our On the Horizon segment where we talk about what's coming up in the next week or so, which is where we're going to start with our On the Horizon segment.
On the horizon.
This week on the Horizon, It, Welcome to Derry, comes out on Sunday, October 26th to HBO and HBO Max. This is the It spin-off prequel series based on the current two-part movie that came out recently. Not the old miniseries, not a fresh adaptation. It's directly tied to that adaptation. Talamasca, The Secret Order, comes out on Sunday, October 6th on AMC. This is related to the AMC Anne Rice stuff they've been doing. They did like an Interview with the Vampire series. They did I don't remember the name of the Witch series. They also did one that's also an Anne Rice series. And this is like connected to both of those. I know I've seen like a few episodes of the Interview with the Vampire series, and the interviewer, the titular character or whatever of that franchise, I saw in like a trailer for this series. So they are like directly connected. But that's coming on Sunday, October 26th to AMC. Ballad of a Small Player, which I think we talked about the trailer for. I'm not sure. That's the one with Colin Farrell where he's in Macau and he's gambling. That's coming on Wednesday, October 29th to Netflix. Disney Twisted-Wonderland, the animation, which is an anime series that's kind of like a Disney-connected anime series, kind of like Kingdom Hearts, except it's not Kingdom Hearts. It's like a new thing that's kind of doing the same kind of thing that Kingdom Hearts did, but as an anime. And that's coming on Wednesday, October 29th to Disney Plus and Hulu. Star Wars Visions, the anime anthology series, gets its new season on Wednesday, October 29th on Disney Plus. The Outer Worlds 2 comes out on Wednesday, October 29th to PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X. I imagine that's also going to eventually hit Switch 2 because even the original game hit Switch 1. The Witcher is coming on Thursday, October 30th to Netflix. This is for its Liam Hemsworth season. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake comes out on Thursday, October 30th to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch, as well as Switch 2. There's I think 3 HD 2D games that either came out or are coming out this year, because we also got Octopath Traveler 0, and then we've got that new one, The Adventures of Elliot, coming out next year, I think. But Dragon Quest 1+2 HD 2D Remake is coming on Thursday, October 30th. Again, to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, Switch, and Switch 2. Virtua Fighter 5 REVO World Stage is coming on Thursday, October 30th to PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch 2. The Switch 2 version is coming later, though. There's no specified date for that yet, apparently. But I believe, hasn't Virtua Fighter 5 been out for a while? This is just a new iteration of it or something?
Yeah, this is Virtua Fighter 5 REVO, which has new stuff to it. And I think the thing here is they added some new stuff to it. I'm not sure everything new to it, but this was initially released exclusively for PC, and now it's coming to consoles.
Yes.
Which is the big thing, yeah.
Yeah, so it's coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X on Thursday, October 30th, and it's coming to Switch 2 as well, but not yet. It's an unspecified date for that yet, which happens with new systems. Tales of Xillia Remastered, which is, I think, the second game of the big Tales of Remastered thing that they've been pushing, that they have a whole division of at Bandai Namco, and that's
Yes.
coming on Friday, October 31st. That's Halloween Day.
By the way, there was news about that today, too. The producer Bandai Namco said they are working on 2 more unannounced remasters, as well as a remaster of Xillia 2, and said the next mainline Tales game is a ways out, and they don't have anything to announce anytime soon.
I think they're gonna drop off the last mainline Tales game on Switch 2, probably way before they release another new Tales of game. Tales of franchise has slowed down. Like during the PS2 generation, it was like we'd get one like almost every year. They had like 3 or 4 different teams working on those games.
Also, I think he said that 70% of that series sales is outside of Japan. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But that's again, Tales of Xillia Remastered, Friday, October 31st, Halloween Day, on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Switch. There's no Switch 2 version yet known, but you can play the Switch version on your Switch 2.
Very, very odd, but okay, yeah.
I mean, hopefully it's got at least a patch to run it at better frame rate or resolution, but we don't know anything about that yet. There's no official Switch 2 version.
Right.
Begonia comes out to movie theaters on Friday, October 31st. That is the one with Jesse Plemons from the director of The Favorite. His new movie, Begonia, comes out on Friday, October 31st to theaters. And that is it for our On the Horizon segment. Now we're going to move on to On Beat.
On Beat.
On Beat is our news segment, and our first story we're going to cover is that Nintendo, we talked about recently, released like a short film that just kind of, nobody knew anything about what it was. Turned out to be Pikmin related. Then they released a second version of that same short film that showed the Pikmin in it. We talked about all of this on a previous podcast, but now they've re-released that video, which was previously the one that has both versions of it, was previously only on the Nintendo Today app, and then they just re-released that. It's on YouTube now. And at the same time as that, they announced an update to Pikmin Bloom, which is the mobile game that's adding Ice Pikmin. And then like a really weird update to Pikmin 4 that just seems like completely inconsequential to have like an update for, which is they added like an easy, like a super easy difficulty mode, an extra hard difficulty mode. And then they also added Decor Pikmin, I think they called, which is just like, they don't have any different abilities. They just have like features, like physical features that...
Well, the core Pikmin apparently are Pikmin that you can transfer to the mobile game.
Okay, but so they're also, they have like a different look to them or something, like they're just, like they're unique, instead of just being like one of the huge group of blue or red or whatever Pikmin you have, this one will like stand out because it has
there's something that's more related to the mobile game really than like the main game.
Mm-hmm. But they said you can use them in the game, you just use them as regular Pikmin.
Right.
And then they also added a photo mode, which is nice. It's just becoming a standard thing now for new games. But yeah, that's a weird Pikmin 4 update. Normally I don't think we'd cover this as news. It's just weird the way that they package this all together. Because I think Pikmin 4 already has a Switch 2 patch. I think it had that early on. So this isn't like a performance improvement patch at all.
No.
And Bloom, I haven't heard anything about in like a year or more. It's just kind of faded out of existence for a bit. And then we had that short film thing that was a big deal, and then they re-released it all on YouTube in time with this. So we just got like 3 Pikmin videos just popped up randomly from Nintendo today. So that was just kind of a strange thing. It just makes you think like, was all of this, like, was that Pikmin short film kind of just in preparation for this as like a marketing thing?
No.
Are they pushing forward with something else Pikmin related?
Here's the thing. I wouldn't read too much into that. The Pikmin, like, animation thing, that was Nintendo Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And that was basically Nintendo, like, to demonstrate what they can do with their animation studio. Once they revealed it was Pikmin, they had the statement. They said, this is our animation studio. This is what we made. This is what we can do. An example of the type of stuff we can do in animation. I don't think it's necessarily related to this. I mean, I don't think,
but they re-released it today alongside those other videos.
Oh, that's interesting that they re-released it. I didn't notice they re-released that.
Because on the Nintendo Today app, they only, that was the only place they posted the one where you could actually see the Pikmin. They never released that version on YouTube. And then, like the next day after they released that one, on the Nintendo Day Up, they released a long one that had both versions.
Pikmin 4 never got a Switch 2 update patch.
Okay, it didn't. It still isn't. This
still isn't an upgrade for Switch 2. This has
which
nothing
just makes
to
it
do.
weirder.
This has nothing to do with Switch 2. These updates are for like the game on Switch 1.
Which just makes it weirder. This should have come alongside a Switch 2, like a basic. I'm not talking about like a Switch 2 edition, but just like a Switch 2 update patch. You know?
Yeah, it's weird that they didn't do that.
Yeah,
that is weird. Yeah, like I said, this is kind of a strange one, so it's kind of whatever. I think new difficulty modes are cool. I think like if you already beat the game, then the new hard difficulty might be like worth checking out.
I think the other difficulty is kind of more interesting because it kind of goes along with the whole trend of like cozy games that we're in now.
Right,
where it's like
true.
They basically have a new mode that turns Pikmin into a cozy game. And then that ties in with like the photo mode. If it's cozy, you could just walk right by like enemies and they want to attack you. You can just walk and pose and take some pictures leisurely, and it's just kind of weird. It's this whole cozy game trend they kind of like kicking onto with Pikmin here.
Cozy game trend, yeah.
It's just weird. It's Nintendo though. I mean, that's what Nintendo does. Be weird. Our next news story is that Sopranos creator David Chase is going to be making Project MK Ultra at HBO. So for those of you who don't know, MK Ultra was a real project held by like the CIA. If you've ever heard about like, the CIA was doing experiments with LSD in like the 60s and stuff, that's MK Ultra. That's what people are talking about when they talk about that. And so they're making a series about that, and it's going to focus on the chemist, the guy that ran this project, Sidney Gottlieb, I think is how his name is pronounced. So the most interesting aspect of this is that it's David Chase. Sopranos is routinely considered one of, if not the greatest TV shows of all time by like most critics and stuff. If you look at any critic list of top shows of all time, Sopranos is usually in the top 5, if not number 1. And he hasn't done like a really big project in a while, so this is that's the big news here, is that the creator of Sopranos' new series is in development. But that's, again, at HBO, staying there, which might eventually be owned by Skydance, Paramount, or Netflix, according to rumors that we're not really covering fully as news, because there's still rumors. And then we've got 3 trailers this week to go over as well. First, we got Stone Cold Fox, which kind of has like a little bit of a grindhouse edge to it, but not completely.
A little bit?
There are parts of it, especially in the trailer, that are like total grindhouse, and then there were other parts that just look like a teen drama or something.
Oh, they were pushing the grindhouse angle on that hard.
Especially like in the second half of the trailer.
Yeah.
I just mean that it was like, it came in like it was a teen drama or something. And then it started like shifting to grindhouse.
Yes. At the beginning, it opened with those vibes, and then there's definitely like that tonal shift that happens.
Yeah. It's noticeable and it's weird.
Yeah.
But this has got Sabrina the Teenage Witch in it.
And Jessica Jones.
Yeah, Jessica Jones in it as definitely like going head to head.
Yes.
Very interesting. Anything else to say about that one?
It looks like a lot of fun. Basically, what I have to say about it, it's definitely got those grindhouse vibes, and it looks like a hell of a lot of fun.
We're getting this weird like comeback for Kristen Ritter, aren't we?
We are, yeah. We are.
She's got this. She's going to be in the new Daredevil season.
Daredevil? Yep.
We haven't seen her in a while, so it's good to welcome back Kristen Ritter is what we're saying. We also got a new trailer for Pluribus. We talked, I think, last week about the teaser.
Yes.
And we
talked about
most of our discussion was about what we knew about the show outside of the teaser, because the teaser didn't really reveal all that much.
And we
got the full trailer.
They weren't going to do a full trailer because this is the kind of thing where you don't need a full trailer. I'll be honest, the full trailer,
it's still pretty vague.
It's still pretty vague. And a lot of the scenes in it, most of the scenes in this trailer were the same scenes from the various teasers.
It seems like there might be another character like her, though.
Yes, it does seem like there's another character. So that's interesting.
I think the 2 interesting takeaways from this trailer that we didn't get from previous information or the teaser is that there seems to be another character that's like her. And then there's that whole scene where she's inquiring about how much they're willing to help her. And she's like,
Yeah.
so if I ask for a grenade, will you give it to me? And they're like, yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, a bazooka? Yes.
A tank?
A tank?
Yeah. She's trying to just see the level of absurdity, see like how far she takes it before like they say no, and there doesn't seem to be a limit.
Yeah. That's kind of like the new stuff. Like those two aspects I think are pretty much all of it that's really new in this trailer. Otherwise, it's not too terribly much more than what was in the teaser, which already wasn't that much, was already pretty vague, so.
Yeah.
I think
Vince
we're
Gilligan,
just probably not going to get much else until the
I don't
show
think
drops.
so. I think like it's just a situation where Vince Gilligan is keeping as much as possible.
Oh yeah, I mean they covered the entire screen with the creator of Breaking Bad at the beginning of this trailer, you know?
Yeah.
Like they put that in the biggest type font they could possibly fit.
Right. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I think Vince Gilligan is keeping as much of like the story as close to the best as possible so that we're surprised when we watch it.
Yeah. I'm just saying that like we talked about last week, they can do that because he did Breaking Bad.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Because they know people are going to watch it. Just for that reason. Just because it's Vince Gilligan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to subscribe to Apple TV Plus just for the show. And then once it's over, I'm canceling immediately.
Yeah.
My gag reflex goes off at the thought of getting Apple TV Plus, but it goes off even harder at the thought of not watching the next Vince Gilligan show. So. And then lastly, we got a trailer. This is the international trailer for Predator Badlands. Not too terribly much new here, getting a little bit more of the tone than we had before. Like before we kind of got like the basic setup and stuff.
Man,
now we're kind of getting like the tone, the feeling of the character.
It looks cool, but man, I hope Elle Fanning's character is more than just
a talking backpack.
Yeah, like more than
He's
just
like Navi from Ocarina of Time. He's like, hey, listen!
I forgot the word when like they explain the plot.
Oh, exposition?
Yeah, I hope she's more than just like an exposition device because that's what's coming across the trailers because all the dialogue from her is like her explaining what's happening. It's like, you're on the most dangerous planet ever.
I wonder how much of that's in the movie and how much of that is like just recorded for the trailer or something.
Right, yeah.
Because if that's like, it feels clunky to be in a movie.
Yeah, it feels
that
like
dialogue.
awkward.
Yeah, so I'm kind of hoping it's just like for the trailer.
Yeah, me too. That's what I said. Like, I'm hoping there's more to her character than just her there to like explain what's going on to the audience.
I also think it's weird that the Predators essentially speak Russian.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. I mean,
we'd
always heard them talking like clicking sounds and stuff, and here like they're fucking just talking Russian.
They're talking to each other. We never saw two predators like interact with each other before.
Yeah.
So they have no reason to try to talk to like humans or people they're hunting.
I mean, I don't think this is new because I think the Predator did talk in Killer of Killers, like the one that.
Oh yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
But it's just kind of like I don't know how I feel about that. Like they kind of had a language. It was like this weird clicky language and stuff, you know? And it felt very not of Earth, and that is what it should be because they're like an alien race that's very different from us. And now it's like, I guess they're just Russian.
Yeah, I guess so.
But yeah, that is Predator Badlands, the international trailer. And that's it for our On-Beat segment. And now we're going to move on to our final segment, full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, we are talking about Gen V Season 2. And what do you think? Like, what's your face value takeaway from Season 2?
I enjoyed it, but ultimately it didn't feel very consequential. It was like, oh, okay, that happened.
Yeah, and the ending was like, see us again in the boys.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the finale, like, it was fine, but it was like, oh, okay, they killed the big bad of the season, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And also, I was kind of disappointed that there didn't end up really being anything to Cypher, like his plan or whatever, because you're like, oh, when he's first introduced, you're like, oh, this guy's mysterious and stuff, and like, what's his deal? And then it's weird because you find out towards the end that like, oh, his deal is he wants to weed out the weak soups and promote, the strongest soups, And then it's weird that he only starts implementing his plan at the end of the season. It's like, oh, he needed his original body for that for some reason. I don't know. It's like, why wasn't he just doing that all along?
Yeah, he didn't really need to use his powers to achieve his goal.
No.
I mean, he had power as the dean of the the school and like, you know, I mean, they had the scene before where he had like that Viking superhero attacking the people. He could have just straight up like did his plan using another suit to do it. Like he didn't need his power to enact it.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't need his power to enact it. Also, I thought the Cypher villain was one of those roles that was really elevated by the actor Hamish Linklater. Was in this, and he did an amazing job of selling this character.
Yeah. He had a menace to him, but he was a little bit like weird too.
Yeah,
just kind of like he had like these character quirks and individuality and stuff, and kind of his own personality and stuff. And you didn't even really know if you should hate him completely, because as like the series was progressing, it's like he was actually kind of being helpful in some ways, and then he'd be doing something like really sinister after that, and it's like, okay, I don't really know exactly where to drop the needle on this guy, where they're going with it, and then they just kind of went mustache trolley villain at the end.
Yeah. Once his real body is revitalized, we replace Hamish with Ethan Slater, who played Thomas Godolkin. He becomes like a much weaker villain, just this mustache twirly villain that's killed off in the finale.
Yeah, he's resurrected in the penultimate and killed in the finale.
Yeah, exactly, which is so funny. That was the big twist, by the way. The big twist is Hamish Linklater wasn't playing the actual Cypher, he was playing a Cypher puppet. And we don't learn this until, well, I mean, we don't learn this till like the second to last episode, but really, the big clue to figure it out doesn't come into place until you learn that he is able to take control of people's minds.
Yeah.
When he demonstrates that, I think that scene is the scene where most people, like, it clicks for them. It's like, oh, he has his power, and he has, like, this person that he's got stashed away. Gee, I wonder, you know?
Yeah, because, like, right before that, they did the reveal that Marie couldn't sense V in his blood.
Yes.
And then you put that, and then you take that he did have a power, and it was a power to, like, control people, and it's like, okay, what's going on here? Who's actually at play? And by that time, we'd also had seen this burned body in a hyperbolic chamber of some kind, you know?
Yeah, he was hiding away from, like, the world, you know? He had to be behind, like, a freaking safe. He wanted people to, like, believe that was, like, his father or something that he was taking care of. It's like, sure, why are you hiding him from everybody?
I think the show, it has good moments.
Yes.
I think that the problem with this show is the same thing that's the problem with The Boys, and that's that sometimes it's trying to kind of, when it tries to lean too much into like a smart plan or something, it's like, okay, but they're not really doing smart writing, you know? So it's like they're doing, the character writing's fine and stuff, but they're not doing like smart writing. They're not doing like chess player writing, you know? And that becomes an issue when you introduce characters like Sister Sage, like they did in the last season of The Boys, and then here where you have her again and Godolkin with this master plan that they're enacting. It's like, it goes into that whole like show don't tell kind of thing, you know? Where we're being told a lot how smart they are. And we're not really seeing that much. I mean, we're seeing it from the fact that, oh, they manipulated this whole situation. But it's like, when you really look at the plans that they were enacting, that they were manipulating the situation with, they don't necessarily seem like all that like rock solid. Like they're not like that inspired or brilliant.
Cypher's plan, really, what he was doing wasn't the same plan Sister Sage was talking about.
I mean, like either of them. Like her plan wasn't that smart either. You know?
Well, we don't know what her plan is. They never explain it.
It fell apart because of the ego of one guy.
Yeah.
So that tells you that her plan wasn't that deep.
Well, here's the thing. I actually think she was written well this season, and I think that's the thing is because it was showed she had genuine feelings for Thomas Godolkin. And you gotta remember, Sister Sage, she is like hyper intelligent, but she's also like a superly fucked up person who gives herself lobotomies just so she can enjoy having sex with the deep. She's completely fucked up. So like she is susceptible to like having emotions and shit cloud her judgment. So,
but I mean, in the last season, we had all that shit, like her giving herself lobotomies, doing all that in the last season of The Boys.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And then the end of the season came and it was like, she basically said, see, all according to my plan, and like walked out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think that
was the problem with
lazy.
The Boys. Yeah.
And I think that same thing carries over here, where it's like, we didn't really get to see her full plan, but it's just the fact that it was completely derailed by one person and that she was like upset about it goes like, okay, well, she's not the like inhumanly ingenious chess player that we've been told she is, you know?
Honestly, no. I mean, actually, I like that because normally when people, especially in superhero stories, when they write like, oh, this is like the smartest person in the world, that means like they're omniscient and infallible and they never like make mistakes or whatever. They're never human. I like that. Yes, she's smart, and she shows that too because immediately after she realizes Cypher has gone off the rails, she releases polarity to kill him.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I think it completely falls into the, they told us instead of showing us, like,
right, yeah.
They didn't show us she was smart. They just basically said she was smart and then had her, like, release somebody. That was a huge plan, like that. Yeah. I don't know. I think the whole thing just felt very weak, and this is a carryover from the last season of The Boys. It was probably one of the weakest parts of the last season of The Boys, and it carries through here. And it's not just her, it's also Godolkin. It's like they play it up like, it's like, just don't play it up that you have like a brilliant character and try to pretend like they're this infallible, perfect strategist or something, unless you have somebody writing something smart enough to make that work, And it's not like that kind of thing has never worked before. Like, look at like Hannibal, like season 2 of Hannibal and his manipulations and machinations and how like they really came across as like, okay, this is like a smart plan. He knew exactly what he was doing. He manipulated the situation. He was way ahead, Look at like Death Note. On several instances, like character was way ahead. Everything made sense. They didn't just have to say he was super smart, like they showed it. Things have done this before. It's not like it's impossible. You just need like the right kind of writer to handle a storyline like that. And at least this is better than like, Brave New World, like the last Captain America movie, which was like really bad at this very specific problem of like the trying to tell us that somebody's really smart and then not really having anything that makes them appear smart by actually showing us anything. So at least it's not that bad, but it's still like, I just wish you wouldn't introduce the hyper intelligent character if you didn't have a writer.
Yeah, and like the mysteries and the intrigue that drives most of the season doesn't really lead to like any satisfying conclusions. There's not only like, oh, what's Cypher up to, which is killing a handful of students at the end of it. That's what he was up to the whole time. There's not
what was he up to? Murder?
Yeah, murder. There's not only that, but there's a whole thing with Marie and Odessa and the building up of Marie as like this. That's another thing too. They make it seem like for like the majority of the season, they make it seem like Cypher's plan is to like build up Marie as this ultimate soup savior. There's a scene where he tells her, we don't need you as a weapon, I need you like as a savior or something. And it's like, it doesn't go anywhere. I think his plan was to build her up and then take her over or something.
Like heal him and then take her over and eventually to like take over. If he could do that, then it was almost just like a stepping stone to being able to taking over Homelander.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of it really worked well in the end. I did like the reveal moment in the penultimate episode when she healed him and like that whole interaction and then him like leaving and the kind of realization of how badly they fucked up. I thought that was a cool moment. It was basically like the Voldemort moment,
I was gonna say, yeah.
Things
and,
like,
and
or a Vecna type moment to talk about like, Stranger Things doing something like that.
And that's one of the things I thought was done well. There's a lot of people online especially, and this gets thrown around a lot, is like, there's a lot of complaining of like, oh, that's bad because I predicted it. It's like, oh, I figured it out. So
that means they properly left the clues for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, dude, do people remember like mystery novels when like there were actual clues in there and the author actually expected, observant readers to solve the mystery before they got to the last page?
Yeah.
Do people get to the end of that and say, wow, this book is fucking stupid. I already figured it out.
If the mystery surprises you in a way that nobody could have ever guessed it, then that means it's probably just bullshit and wasn't even a real mystery in the first place. They just basically said, oh, this is a thing, and it's like gave you no context clues to reach that point.
Yeah, just like introduced like a bunch of like bullshit. Oh, see, this is definitely what the clues that weren't like anywhere in like the stuff until now. Yeah, it's like, what, like some asshole like, oh, Jordan was Cypher the entire time, including from season 1?
I think a good way that you can look at it is there's a trope that was started basically, well, not started, but like perfected, I guess, by Fight Club, which was the whole like imaginary friend trope. The kind of idea that like, oh, there's this person and he doesn't really exist. He's just a figment of an another character's imagination or something. And it's been copied. I mean, Fight Club wasn't the first thing to do it, but it was like the one that probably did it best. And then so many other things have copied that. And a lot of times it's super obvious, but even then it's in how it's handled if it works. And I'll give you like 2 examples. I think it was Dexter season 6. They did that thing. They had like Colin Hanks' character, like,
oh yes,
he had like Edward James Olmos was like just a figment of his imagination, like, or he was a real person but he'd killed him or something, and now he was just a figment of his imagination. That was like so obvious, and when the reveal happened, the writers were so just like patting themselves on the back on how brilliant they were, and it was so obvious, and they didn't really go anywhere interesting from there. And so it was like, okay, this is a crap reveal. This is like deserves condemnation. This is not a good twist, you know? Because it was so obvious and you did nothing with it, and you like overly congratulated yourself and overly played into it. Like, isn't this so amazing? Look at how great we did. And it's like, yeah, everybody saw that coming from like episode 2 or something, you know? It was like so early on. Then you have on the other side, Mr. Robot.
Yeah.
The turn about Mr. Robot being, you know, a part of Elliot or whatever and not being a real person. I think most people picked up on that in the pilot, and they didn't really reveal that until like, I don't know, towards the end of the first season, maybe like 2/3 of the way through the first season or something.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter that we knew what that was going to be. It didn't matter that we knew that was coming, because they took it into more interesting places, and that wasn't like the end of it. Like, that was just
that wasn't like
the beginning of the story, you know?
Right, yeah, exactly.
And so like, I think you can take something like a twist, it can be obvious, you can know it's coming, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. And that's like the Mr. Robot thing. Or you can take a twist, make it super obvious, just self-congratulate yourself the whole time, don't go anywhere with it, and that's like the Dexter season 6 or whatever thing.
Yeah. And that's my rant. I don't think twists are bad just because you can figure them out. I think the good twists are the ones that, like, yeah, they make sense when you go back over the season. If somebody's like not particularly paying attention, they're just watching a spectacle, you're probably not going to put together Cypher's powers and the V and like the body. You're probably, especially because, you know, like there's some misdirection there too, where like they're really like focusing you on Marie and with Thomas Godolkin. Like, that's Thomas Godolkin in there. Like, I remember when you told me that was Cypher last week after the podcast, I was like, oh, shit, because I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, you kind of have to be watching it to solve the mystery.
Yeah. So I think it's good because it's like, it makes sense, and it's not some asshole, like, just for the sole purpose of like surprising the audience. You know, or trying to like come across as being smarter than the audience. Although it is hilarious that apparently Eric Kripke was like upset people figured it out. It's like, dude, it was not that complicated. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
I gotta say, there was an aspect of this that was very disappointing to me, because season 1 did it much better, I think, and that's the interpersonal relationships of the characters.
Yes.
I think season 1 did that so much better than season 2 did. And there's some highlights in season 2 with it. I really liked the scene, for example, where Sam was talking to Emma, the shrinking girl, and she like was addressing his jealousy and saying like, you know, this guy Greg, we're not doing anything, but even if I was, that's none of your fucking business, you know? And kind of lectured him about that. And then he kind of said like, yeah, I know. I don't know how to deal with this. This is something new to me. I don't understand like feeling jealous. This is like something I've never felt before. And
I actually like that because like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I liked that scene.
It felt like they were going to mine that whole thing for drama, and then like, just like didn't. And I was like, thank God.
Yeah. Like, you see all the tropes of the love triangle thing starting up, and they didn't really do too much of that. They kind of did it for a little bit of like comic relief mostly, and they kind of moved past it, which I like. I really liked that. But that's like about the only like interpersonal character moment that really kind of worked, I think. It just seemed so focused on the plot this time, which can be good, except like we said, there are some issues with the plot stuff. But I think that was that kind of a mistake though, because season 1 of Gen V, part of what made it feel so fresh from the boys is that it was like going back to being such a character focus, you know? And I guess the boys had that too in its first season, but it had been so long since we'd had like good inner relationship moments like that made sense, that really worked, that kind of sold the development of the characters. It's been so long since we had that when Gen V came out, it felt really fresh because it was like, oh, this is back again. We're getting these moments. And then Gen V season 2, they're kind of gone again. It's kind of this is basically the same thing that happened with the boys, like where the first season kind of had those moments that really focused on characters, and then it kind of mostly went away with, a few bright spots here and there, but mostly, other than that, mostly gone.
I did like Kate's redemption arc, like after her completely going off the rails last season.
Yeah.
Kate and Sam both come back into the fold.
I liked how she was like ignorant of the damage she caused, and like how that took her by surprise, like in the first couple episodes, where it was like she showed up and like she was talking to them and she's like, it's okay guys, I've changed, like I'm sorry about what I did and I realize I was wrong now, and just completely ignorant to like the fact that Andre had died and that, like the full extent of the damage that was caused by her part in that. And that became something she had to deal with, because at first she was like, oh, I've turned over a new leaf. I'm a good person now. I'm really trying. I'm working hard and I'm doing this. Isn't that great? And then she realizes, oh no, I've caused a lot more damage than I thought. And then she had to like kind of take 10 steps back and work her way up from that, which I like that. I like the way that was handled with her character. I also kind of like the fact that her power got taken from her. Kind of. I kind of like the way it was taken from her, because it wasn't taken from her. It just was like made into something too blunt and not really operational,
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. So she went through the season kind of, and man, again, that was another thing. I thought, like, oh, this is good, drive her further into her villain arc, but like, really, it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, I appreciate the restraint. It's funny to talk about like restraint and writing anything involving the boys, but yeah.
Yeah, not exactly a subtle series. Yeah. Yeah, I like that they took Sam out of the place that he was in at the beginning of the season and the end of the last season. I really just don't like that version of the character. And I like that they kind of brought him out of that pretty quickly, but didn't make it like, oh, everything's fine now. They still kind of left it hanging as like he fucked up pretty bad,
Yes.
So I dig that. Like, there's aspects of that I like. I just think that it's weird that they brought these characters in and then a lot of the character beats between, like, in the inter-character relationship moments were just kind of like there to service the plot, or like to like put them in the right place at the right time to go like, okay, well, these characters kind of have to be on the out, so they have to have a reason to be not getting along now, or so, what I mean? Like, they weren't really doing it for the characters as well as just to like service the needs of the plot.
What kept me engaged was the character writing. Unfortunately, the plot was the weakest aspect of the season. It just didn't end up being satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
The acting and like the character stuff was more satisfying than the actual plot of the season, to be honest.
Yeah. One other thing I have to talk about, and this is something that's just been bothering me with both the boys and Gen V, but like, and I think I brought it up to you off the podcast, and that's just, I just don't like how boring the powers are.
Yeah.
Like, they're not really doing all that much interesting with it, and it's kind of a shame. Glimpses of more interesting stuff, and then it just seems like, and they did this with the boys,
like,
and they did it with like Newman's daughter, of just like, oh, well, what power should we give her? Oh, just like, meat tentacles that rip things apart, Oh, and what about Butcher and his secret? Oh, meat tentacles that rip things apart.
Yeah.
That just seems to be like their new answer. Like, when they don't have any idea of what else to do, it's like, well, you can't fail if you have meat tentacles that rip things apart. I'm just like, there's so many more interesting things you could pull. I really wish they would dive more
kind of
into...
lacks imagination.
I wish they'd dive more into Jordan's character. I think there's a lot of potential to really develop her power set in a very interesting way,
Well, their power set.
Yeah. Specifically, because of the gender change and stuff, and the fact that there's different powers for the, I think that is like fertile ground to make like really interesting power dynamics. And they're just not really doing it, like, besides the introduction of the character's ability, they haven't really done too terribly much beyond that with it. I don't don't know. Yeah. And they introduced, the alternative to Sam for, that love triangle, thing that thankfully didn't fall too deep into those tropes between Emma and Sam by introducing the character of Greg. And he's just like another generic, he can fly, he's super strong and durable. Just the most generic power set. I don't know. Like, I think what gets to me, what makes it disappointing, and I brought this up to you before, is that I read a book series, not a comic book, just a book series called Superpowers that's very similar to this in the sense that it's like about a school that teaches people how to be superheroes, and there's a lot of like machinations behind the scenes and untrustworthy people within the organizations and other things going on, and that series is so much better with its like development of powers and stuff. And I just know that they can never make a show like that because it would be considered too close to this now. And so it disappoints me when they default into like really boring powers and stuff in this show, because it's like, oh man, like we could have had something more there,
Right. Oh, absolutely.
But I still think I enjoyed this. I still think I enjoyed it more than the last
enjoyed
season
it.
of The Boys.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I had fun with the season. It's just like, ultimately, when I'm like thinking about it, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, the story was kind of The stuff they were building up just kind of never reached like any kind of satisfying conclusion.
Yeah.
The whole Odessa stuff and stuff like just kind of ended with a wet fart. With Marie, like, deciding she's not a chosen one, and okay, that's cool. And Cypher's plan was never, like, really anything that amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Cypher, all the cool stuff about Cypher as a villain was in the mystery behind him and, like, the way Hamish Linklater played him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Again, that was a key example of, like, where an actor's performance really elevates a role, He made him cool.
Yeah, and that's not to diminish.
No, I don't want to diminish.
Slater, who played Godolkin, he played him like suitably creepy,
Yeah.
It's just that those character quirks that Hamish introduced to the character is what really made him interesting beyond that.
Yeah. I think he was like, I think he was more interesting when you didn't really know what he was getting at. When his goals seemed to just be like building up Marie more than just, let's kill like all the weak soups.
Let's talk about the real highlight of this entire season. Modesty Monarch.
Modesty Monarch. Oh, geez. Yeah, you told me about her like earlier. I thought, yeah.
So instantly hateable. I'm just kidding when I say that. Yeah, I just, obviously, but I wanted to bring her up real quick just because.
It's hilarious because like I completely forgot about her. She's a teacher like in like I guess like a social media class or something.
I think she's only in like 1 or 2 episodes or something.
She's only in the one scene in episode 2. That's it.
I thought we saw her again in another episode, but it was just briefly, like a character left the classroom or something and she was teaching, like she was in the background or.
I think that was a different teacher.
I don't know. But anyways, like.
We only see her once and like she's a person with butterfly wings who's also like a hyper conservative, trad wife type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like kind of the best satire of the season.
Yes.
There's also the character of the student Life Stacy, as she's listed in the credits, who is the person, the one like staffer that is reintroducing them to the school and stuff, who has like the bee stinger. And that was an unused Chekhov's gun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because you expect like the stinger to like something to happen with that. Nothing does. Another thing I just remembered that annoyed me was there was the subplot about the girl who works at the, the cafeteria, and she's constantly like being harassed because somebody keeps putting up Starlight propaganda, like at her booth, somebody like she can't see, and this is causing her stress, and then Emma like decides to help her, and she tracks this person down and like finds out, they're Starlighters, and then Emma joins them and starts recruiting them into their resistance, and then we forget all about this girl she was supposed to help, like, fuck her, I guess. Like, she's never seen again in the season from that point. It's like, what, why?
Yeah, I think the problem there is that they even introduced that character at all.
Yeah.
Like, they could have gotten this kind of like idea that there's a group that's doing resistance things and stuff and not really know fully like what's going on with that. And then Emma follows, finds out who it is. Everything happens the way it did there. But the fact that they introduced this character, that they put this focus on this character.
And she has like literally PTSD about freaking going to work because of this.
Yeah.
And they even like have the intro of one of the episodes be about this character,
Yeah.
To that point. And then, like, they have Emma like, oh, I'll help you. And then when she tracks down who was doing it, she's like, oh, new besties. Oh, wait, I was supposed to be helping somebody?
Well,
Nah.
presumably she did help her by simply, like, guiding these people
She
towards
doesn't
more, like,
even-
legitimate action.
She doesn't even, like, bring it up. She doesn't even bring it up to them that, like,
No.
causing stress to this person.
I think, but the implication is that they were doing, like, putting up flyers was, like, what they were doing, and now they're doing more.
True,
So
but
it's like they're
also
not
the implication
focused on putting up flyers anymore. I think that was the implication.
The implication was this is sloppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The result is it's sloppy, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But, you
But
know,
that's
I
another
talked about a
thing that annoyed
character
me.
with powers that are interesting. We got Bushmaster, the best power.
Yeah, the best power.
Oh, man.
They do love their weird, gross powers.
Yeah. Let's talk about cameos, because this does tie into The Boys, and there
Yes,
are a
there's
lot of The Boys cameos in play here.
I do like that there is a strong connection to the Mother show. It's its own thing, but like it's strongly connected to The Boys, where like other spin-offs basically exist as their own thing, and like occasionally somebody from the original show will show up for an episode. This one is, they're peppered. You know, we get to see the Deep, we get to see obviously Sister Sage, we get to see A-Train and Black Noir.
Yeah, Black
in
Noir
this.
2.
Yeah, the second Black Noir.
Black Noir 2, The Revenge, or Black Noir 2, Electric Boogaloo. It has to be one of those two. That's the law.
One thing I'm glad though is I'm glad we didn't see Homelander this season. Homelander came in at the finale of the last season.
He did have a cameo in the finale this season. His name popped up on Sister Sage's phone.
That doesn't that doesn't count. I thought like it would just be cheesy to have him show up again for the second season in a row.
I think that kind of did work though, with like him, like, cause she talked about like, this is not the way to meet Homelander or something. And then after like everything's going public with that guy and she's like hesitant and watching out, she just gets the phone call from Homelander and like, you know exactly what Homelander's thinking there. Like
Right.
you can you can picture him like pacing in his office being all pissed off and pissy, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I think that was effective to the point where like, if they had shown him, it would have been less effective than just seeing his name pop up. We also got Stan Edgar. That was a nice little
Stan
surprise.
Edgar and Victoria Newman's daughter also.
Zoe, yes.
Yeah, Zoe, that was a nice surprise. Again,
Another
so, like,
neat tentacle.
a lot of fun cameos from The Boys for sure.
Yeah. Of course, Starlight played into it.
Yep,
And,
Starlight.
the first episode and the last episode.
Yep.
Yeah, and
that's everybody.
Firecracker, but he wasn't lactating, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, Firecracker. Yeah, there are a lot of Boys cameos in this.
Yeah, and it's also important to note that this ends with basically like a big crossover thing. Like they're basically, and they even like called it out as like a crossover, which was kind of funny. Like a little funny meta joke on their part. But yeah, Starlight shows up, welcomes to the Resistance, then A-Train shows up, and they're all like, okay, we're on board. So it's like, whereas before, the season before Gen V of The Boys had clues that led into Gen V, and Gen V had clues that led into the next season of The Boys, and then that season of The Boys had clues that led into the second season of Gen V. Gen V, the way it ends, doesn't really feel like clues leading into The Boys. It feels like characters being led into The Boys. So I guess these characters are going to show up in The Boys now. That's like the implication they're making, is that they're going to be directly involved in the Resistance now, and not just like, oh, they're also in the background somewhere doing something that's going to lead to this. Before it almost felt like, you know, like in with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and like the second Avengers movie, where they had like the big thing at the end of the Secret Avengers movie where it's like, oh, S.H.I.E.L.D., like, so they got a helicopter carrier to you, and you know, now you guys have S.H.I.E.L.D. support, and that saves you at the end and stuff, and then how that tied into like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it was just this like kind of, you know, there's something happening in the background, but it connects here, you know, kind of thing, where this kind of feels more like we're just gonna straight up see these characters in the last season of The Boys.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of, it's interesting. I don't know how much I like that, but it's interesting. And then I read an interview with Kripke where he was talking about, you know, aspects of this season and stuff, and saying that they're kind of uncertain about a season 3 of Gen V. We know that the next season of The Boys is the final season, but he said that stuff will carry on or could carry on with like additional spin-offs like after the point of The Boys. And he was asked directly like, well, if that's the case, then how does The Boys wrap up? Like what aspects of all of this does it wrap up? And he said, well, it significantly wraps the story between Huey and Butcher, the story between Butcher and Homelander. Those are like the kind of two, and the story between Huey and Starlight. Those are kind of like the three things that are like core to the boys that are going to be like come to a conclusion or like in some way like give closure to those three very specific aspects. And that it's not going to be an ending where like, oh, everything's back to normal, soups don't exist anymore kind of thing. So,
right, yeah.
So that's interesting just because they, this is a huge, not this specifically, but the Boys universe is a huge deal for Amazon, so it's just going to carry on forever.
Oh, yeah.
There's that Boys Mexico series in development.
I am
Hot Rising prequel series coming.
Hot Rising, I will watch for Jensen Ackles. That dude. I love, his portrayal of Soldier Boy. I have no interest in Boys Mexico, I'm sorry.
You had no interest in Gen V either.
True, but after watching Gen V season 2, it's I'm not really wanting to watch a million spin-offs of this universe.
You don't need to, keep diving into more of the universe, yeah.
Yeah.
I get you. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I leave it at, I'll wait till I see something from the Boys Mexico.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. If the trailer comes out and it looks really good, then I might be
I will give it a chance.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah, I'll give it a chance.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing with Bot Rising too. I'm more on board with that because of Jensen Ackles and kind of the much heavier ties into the Boys universe and stuff. But I'm not 100% sold on it. I think I will be when a trailer comes out, but it's I'm still kind of waiting on that trailer to confirm that for me.
Right. Oh yeah.
I think this just kind of goes along at the end of the day with our thoughts about the Boys in general, which is that, the Boys started out really strong and it just kind of weakened over time.
Yeah.
Gen V felt really refreshing, and then now it's kind of weakened over time with its second season, and that just seems to kind of be the course with these shows. So I'm expecting that Vought Rising is going to start off really refreshing and good, and then start to trail off when it gets to its second season if it has one.
Right.
I can kind of feel the format. But yeah, anything else to talk about with Gen V?
No, I'm pretty much said everything I want to say.
All right, so that is it for this week's podcast. Next week, we were going to talk about Fantastic Four, but then we realized, we still got Halloween. We're still going to be in spooky season when we record the next podcast, and we realized there's another movie that's fresh from the theaters that's going to be available to stream in time for next week's podcast, and that's Weapons. So I've seen Weapons in theaters. I'm going to watch it again. Will has not seen it yet. He'll be able to watch it when it comes to HBO Max in 2 days from the time that we're recording this, or whenever he chooses to watch it. Hopefully, anybody listening along will also tune in and watch Weapons, and stay tuned for that conversation. That'll be basically our Halloween episode of the podcast is going to be our discussion of Weapons. So look forward to that next week. Until then, you can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can follow Will on both of those platforms. He is at Voxel Hero. You can also check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. If you go to our website and open up the container store for any of our podcast episodes, scroll down to the bottom paragraph, you'll find all the relevant links for SoundCloud page or RSS feed, all that stuff's there. You can also subscribe to our podcast to your favorite podcast kind of choice, like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts. And you can also check out our YouTube channel, which has every episode of our podcast, the entire backlog, as well as additional content. So thank you everybody for listening. Night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.